Sex and gender, two different things. So sex is, oftentimes people use the word sex to mean gender, but there's who you desire and there's how you identify, right? So who you desire is like heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual. We're talking about who you feel intimately drawn to. And then gender identity, gender is male, female, transgender, genderqueer, et cetera, et cetera.
First time I heard genderqueer, I think, was when I was reading Kate Bornstein's gender workbook. I was maybe 20 years old, 19 years old, and my boyfriend at the time had just begun his transition to male. He wanted me to understand what his transition was about, and I wanted that too, but when I was reading it, I saw the word genderqueer, and I had always, I had sort of picked up on some of the same feelings and dysphoria and emotions and ideas that my boyfriend was having, but I knew I wasn't a guy, like the way that he knew he was a guy. I just felt a lot of confusion about that. Well, like, I'm definitely not a trans guy. Like, I know that for sure. But I didn't realize that there was a space in between there.
Right now, being transgender is, trans people are kind of experiencing the same challenges and at the same time, the same, like, growth in the public eye, so to speak, that like lesbian and gay and bisexual people were experiencing like in like the 80s and 90s.
I feel like as a trans woman, you kind of have to be a bitch and kind of force these issues and force these awkward conversations, force people being upset to actually further a cause. And it's really hard to see when it's in the middle of everything going on, because every like social movement is so glossed over in history where it's like, well, yeah, everyone was fine. No one was radical. No one got violent. No one upset anyone. It just slowly happened. And it's not true.
People that I've met who identify as queer often are either doing it as kind of like a political statement, because queer was like a derogatory word, it still is in certain parts of the world. But it was a word that was thrown at, LGBT people as a slur. And so it was kind of the community's way of taking back that word and using it to empower them rather than to harm them. I know lots of gay men do that with the word faggot. They're kind of like reclaiming that word. And then some people use it because they truly find themselves attracted to all genders. They bisexual is too confining. To say they're gay or lesbian or straight is too confining. They just kind of have an open mind to what's between people's legs, so to speak. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I do it less as a political statement. It just felt right for me.